Catwoman. A name that evokes mystery, danger, and seduction. She's one of DC's most enduring characters, sometimes a thief, sometimes a hero, always a survivor. Unlike Batman's usual rogues, Catwoman isn't driven by chaos like the Joker or revenge like Two-Face. She isn't a power-hungry villain like Penguin or Riddler. No, Selina Kyle plays by her own rules. She's not bound by Gotham's morality, nor is she its villain. But how did Catwoman evolve from a simple jewel thief in the 1940s into one of the most complex characters in comic book history? How did she transition from Batman's enemy to his greatest love, and at times, his equal? This is the story of Catwoman, her origins, her evolution, and why she remains one of the greatest anti-heroes in comics. The Golden Age, the birth of the Cat, 1940s, 1950s. Catwoman made her first appearance in Batman #1, 1940, created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane. But back then, she wasn't the Catwoman we know today. She was simply the Cat, a master thief, wrapped in mystery, and unlike any other villain Batman had faced. What made her unique? 1. She was a thief, not a killer. Unlike the Joker, she wasn't interested in mass murder or anarchy, she just wanted shiny things. 2. She had an undeniable chemistry with Batman. Even from the start, she was flirtatious, daring, and a challenge to the Dark Knight. 3. She represented temptation. Batman was dedicated to justice, but Catwoman was the one who made him question his rigid moral code. But as the 1940s turned into the 1950s, the Comics Code Authority changed everything. Comics were under scrutiny for being too violent or too immoral, and characters like Catwoman were seen as problematic. The result? She was erased from Batman comics for over a decade. The reason? DC claimed they wanted to make Batman a more wholesome figure, which, ironically, led to the era of Batman and Robin's weirdest, campiest stories. But when she returned in the 1960s, she was different. Less of a thief, more of a love interest. The Silver Age, the tamed Catwoman, 1960s and 1970s. In the 1960s, Catwoman returned, but something had changed. Rather than being the independent, cunning thief she once was, she became more of a love-struck woman pining for Batman. This was largely influenced by the campy Batman TV show, 1966 to 1968, Julie Newmar, Lee Meriwether, and Arthur Kitt all played Catwoman, emphasizing her flirtation with Batman rather than her skills as a thief. The Comics Code Authority still looming over DC. Writers couldn't make her a true criminal again, so they softened her. This version of Catwoman was fun but lacked depth. She was no longer the morally ambiguous character from the 1940s, she was just another villain with a crush on Batman. But the 1970s started to change things again. Writers began reintroducing her criminal side. Her backstory started getting fleshed out. She wasn't just a villain, she had a past, motivations, then layers. She was becoming more than just a side character in Batman's world. Then came the 1980s, and Catwoman as we know her today truly began to take shape. The Bronze Age, the rebellious Cat, 1980s and 1990s. If the 1960s softened Catwoman, the 1980s sharpened her claws. Enter Batman, Year 1, 1987, written by Frank Miller. This story completely reinvented Selina Kyle. How Year 1 changed Catwoman forever. 1. She was no longer just a thief, she was a survivor. In this version, Selina grew up in the roughest parts of Gotham, learning how to survive in a city that preys on the weak. 2. She wasn't just after wealth, she was after control over her own life. Unlike other villains, she didn't crave chaos or power, she wanted independence. 3. She became a symbol of Gotham's underdogs. She stole, yes, but she also protected those Gotham ignored. This was a darker, grittier Catwoman, and it set the tone for the next decade of stories. 1990s, the solo Catwoman era. The 1990s were a game changer for Selina. In 1993, she finally got her own solo series, Catwoman Volume 2. This was huge. She was the lead, not Batman's sidekick. She became an anti-hero, not a villain, not a hero, but something in between. She started stealing from the corrupt and the powerful, not just for personal gain. This was also the era where her relationship with Batman got more complicated. They weren't just enemies or lovers, they were something undefined. Something more. By the end of the 90s, Catwoman wasn't just a female Batman villain anymore. She was a force of nature. The modern age, the hero who won't admit it, 2000s now. In the 2000s, writers leaned even harder into Catwoman's anti-hero role. In Ed Brubaker's Catwoman run, 2001 to 2005, she became Gotham's protector in the East End, fighting for the people Batman ignored. In Batman, 2002 to 2003, she and Batman finally got together for real, but trust issues tore them apart. In Gotham City Sirens, 2009 to 2011, she formed a trio with Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, proving she wasn't just a lone wolf anymore. And then, in Tom King's Batman run, 2016 to 2019, DC asked the big question. Could Batman and Catwoman actually work as a couple? For a while, it seemed like they would finally tie the knot. But in classic Gotham fashion, Selina walked away, believing Batman needed his pain to be Batman. This wasn't just another breakup. This was Catwoman proving she understood Bruce better than anyone. Conclusion: who is Catwoman? So where does that leave Selina Kyle today? She's still a thief, but not for greed. She's still a fighter, but not for herself. She's still in love with Batman, but she refuses to be defined by him. She's more than a villain, more than a hero, she's Catwoman. And that's why she remains one of the greatest characters in comic book history. What do you think? Has Catwoman truly evolved into a hero, or is she destined to remain a thief at heart? Let's talk in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into your favorite comic book characters. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and keep reading comics.